was in prison for 17 years until DNA freed him. He was convicted of rape, and he received 2 life sentences plus 40. So they can give you more than 1 life sentence, just in case you get that one thrown out someday. They want to make sure they keep you in prison if they think you're very dangerous. So I was born in Nebraska. I went to Blueberry Elementary School, and I'm 49 years old. Now, I just told you a couple of lies. Okay. Who can tell which part of that was not true? Blueberry, right, yeah. Was I born in Nebraska? Can you tell when someone's telling the truth or telling a lie? I wasn't born in Nebraska. I made up the Blueberry thing, too. The point is, if I stood up here and told 50 elements about myself and asked you which ones I was lying about, you wouldn't be able to tell. And the reason I know that is because there's great research where they take detectives, very experienced detectives, and they have them try to determine when people like me are lying, like anybody is lying. And basically, they're as good as anybody else. You have a 50-50 chance of telling when someone is lying. Human beings are very confident that they can tell when someone is lying. And that's why con men make a living, right? That's why people can seduce other people. Turns out we're mostly honest, but when people lie to us, we really can't tell. And that's where DNA comes in. So, first of all, I want to say thank you to the young biologists. Snarl-Gutzien, I can't even say it. Merci. And there's an official invitation to Idaho, and also please friend me on Facebook, so I can look very popular back home. I also want to thank the Armenian forensic experts who graciously took me into their lab, and some of them are here today. Look around you can see 2 of them, and I hope to have a lot more to do with you. And now a brief lesson in forensic science history. Armenia invented forensic science, as you have all seen on this trip. Crime scene documentation, 17th century. This is what happens when you hire 14-year-olds to illustrate your manuscript. And that's actually what we were told happened here. Question documents, another field in forensic science. Armenians have been doing it for at least 1,500 years. And here's an example of evidence that has been tampered. This is an erased palmoplast. This was the original manuscript. We saw this in the museum, and it's been scraped away, and the new manuscript is written over it. But we have evidence because Armenians have done this. They also keep their treasures safe. I mean, isn't this the greatest country in the world? What do they keep in the vault? The alphabet. Biological preservation. Armenia leads the way in biological preservation from murders. Does anyone know what this is? We saw it in Eshmatzin. It's St. Stephen's tooth. This is murder evidence. He was stoned to death without trial. It's recorded in the Bible. Someone who was present was Paul of Tarsus, alias St. Paul, alias the Apostle Paul. And he talked about his crime, so we know about it. But that's the tooth of St. Stephen, and I'd love to do some DNA on that. Evidence preservation. These are tools used in killing both humans and animals. And they're 500,000 years old. When we saw some of these at the History Museum, that blew my mind. I would love to be able to swap these for DNA. Of course, they do have modern challenges in toxicology, trying to control portions in drinking from their tourists. Okay, so my lab does a number of forensic studies and human population studies, and there's 3 types of DNA that we can look at. There's mitochondrial, I'll talk about it. There's a mitochondria in there, Y chromosome, and then short tandem repeats. And all of these are used in crime scene analysis. Short tandem repeats are the best because they give us the most robust statistics. Your STR profile belongs to you and your identical twin, and probably no one else if I can look at all 13 loci. But your Y chromosome profile looks a lot like, in fact, exactly, most likely, your father, your brothers, if you're a man, your uncles, etc. So in my lab, we have all the standard type of student projects that many of you have. We grow cancer cells, we expose them to peptides, we do all kinds of neat things like that. But we also have projects like this. This is one of my students in Alaska, and he decided for his master's project, rather than work on cancer cells, he wanted to dig up his great-grandfather, and so he did. His great-grandfather was an Alaskan native chief who was supposedly shot in the head. When we dug up the body, I assured my colleague in Alaska that they would only have the body dug up for a few weeks. We would sample, take the body still in this guy's freezer. It's 3 years later. But when we dug up the body, we thought we'd have a very simple job, get some DNA and get to rebury the body. But it turns out there's no hole in the skull. So the question is, do we have the right body? Is this history wrong? And this happens all the time when you dig up bodies. Some of my friends were involved with the History Channel doing a story on Mozart's skull. There are 2 skulls, both claim to be Mozart's skull. And so they got permission to exhume some of Mozart's relatives and Leopold the father. And by Leopold's grave, there are 3 daughters, I think, and 3 sons on one side and on the other. And all of the female bodies with female names have Y chromosomes. They're all males. And all of the male bodies don't have Y chromosomes. So this is a recurring problem. It's very important to work with historians when you're doing historical cases. We also have Peruvian mummies. I won't be able to talk about that. And this is a new project, and that's why I love that St. Stephen evidence. We have gotten a donation of 40 teeth. I have 12 full bodies donated, but we have to get funding. We didn't get funded, so they're still kept frozen or chilled in California. But these are some teeth we had donated. We're trying to see if we can